Hill Griffin Stadium is the site for Sunshine Network's coverage of the Class 2A state title game. It's the Marianna Bulldogs and the Gulliver Prep Raiders. Hi again, everybody. Sean Alvishire here. So glad you could join us for Sunshine Network's continuing coverage of the Florida Football Finals. We have a dandy for you in the Class 2A state championship game. Marianna, Gulliver Prep. Let's take a look at the road to the finals. And we start with the team from the south, the Gulliver Prep Raiders, American Heritage, Monsignor Pace in the regional finals, Chaminade 21-20. And then in the state semifinals against Immokalee, they had to go to double OT. And in that second overtime, they foregone the extra point. They went for two, and it was Sean Taylor over the top. The two-point conversion to get to Gainesville, and yes, sirree, they made the trip because of that gutsy play, the two-point conversion in double OT. Let's take a look at the road for Marianna, Bradford, and then two big-time state powers, Jacksonville Bulls and Madison County, and then, of course, last week on the road, they defeated South Sumter 21-13. Now it's time to bring in my partner, James Bates. And first, let's start with the team from the South, Gulliver Prep. And they have a young man. You could call him the man-child. You could call him the specimen. His given name is Sean Taylor.
And he wears number 1. And a lot of people can wear number 1, but only Sean Taylor can mean it, Sean. Leading scorer of this Gulliver Prep team, 41 touchdowns so far this year. And he gets it done by catching and running the football. But it's over on defense where he's equally as impressive. 9 interceptions so far this season, the regular season, 2 interceptions in the playoffs, and he brings over that offensive power to the defensive side of the ball. He's returned 3 of those for touchdowns, and when he can't get it done, Buck Ortega does a pretty good job of commitment to Miami already at that quarterback spot.
Now, in order for Gulliver to win the state championship, they're going to have to defeat a very good Marianna team who defeated 2 state powers. You saw they defeated Jacksonville Bulls and Madison County, and the reason is their do-it-all star, Richard Dudley.
That's right, and as good as Sean Taylor is for Gulliver Prep, the voters voted this guy, Richard Dudley, as the player of the year in 2A. So he was on the field at the 5A halftime. Didn't win Mr. Football. That went to Adrian McPherson, but this guy could be in the running for it next year. One of the best juniors in the land, 2,033 yards rushing and 23 touchdowns. He's going to need a few of them today if he wants to beat Gulliver Prep.
Sean Taylor, Richard Dudley, heck, we're just living in a Charles Davis world. Let's bring in the third member of our broadcast team. Charles, what's going on?
Hey, Sean, thanks a lot, but you're not living in my world. I'm fortunate enough to be in yours and James's. You talked about the big wins that Marianna had this year over a couple of state powers. Well, when you look at Gulliver Prep, they didn't have to travel for this one. They brought one to them from out of state. St. Peter's Prep in New Jersey, a team that went on, the only loss that St. Peter's suffered all year at the hands of Gulliver Prep. They went on and won the state title in New Jersey in Class B in their section. Not bad. A great win for Gulliver Prep. You know they're primed for today's game. Good luck, guys. Have fun.
Thanks, Charles. It's a great afternoon in Gainesville. The 2A state championship is on the line. Marianna, Gulliver Prep, up next right here on Sunshine. A windy afternoon here in Gainesville, Florida. Ben Hill Griffin Stadium at Florida Field as we get ready for the Class 2A state championship game. Marianna and Gulliver Prep. Sean Alvishire here, joined alongside by James Bates. Down on the field will be Charles Davis. The head coaches, there you see Gulliver Prep's head man, Steve Howie, in his 5th year, 43-15 in 5 years at Gulliver Prep. He's a New Jersey boy. Marianna head coach Greg Guy, he's a Marianna boy, coaching his alma mater in his 9th year, 60-46 in 9 years at Marianna, and getting his team in the year 2000 to the state championship game. Gulliver won the toss, but they deferred, so Marianna will be getting the ball here to start the first half. Peter Simon will be kicking off as we get this 2A title game underway. And it'll be handled by number 8, Cody Clemens. And Marianna will start this Class 2A state championship game on their own 35.
Sean, we've seen that sky kick a lot here in Gainesville. A lot of weapons returning the football. These guys don't want to take any chances putting the ball in their hands.
Probably with the wind, maybe, hey, get it up in the air, maybe a little bit of nerves. One of the up men won't handle it. We can get the onside kick. There you see our quarterback, Jeff Mathis, 740 yards, 6 TDs on the season. They give the ball to Rashard Dudley, and Dudley is thrown to the ground. Alfredo Pascal catches up with Dudley. The Marianna offense, Ziegler and Dudley, Hardrick, Dickens, and Jones is the tight end. Jones had a TD in the state semi. Myrick, Sims, and Sims, Snellgrove, and Slinkard are the men up front. Loss of 2.
Good way to get it started by Pascal, number 5. Great defensive play by the linebacker.
Fossey and Dudley in the backfield. Mathis rolls. Incomplete. Trying to get the ball out to Chris Hardrick. That'll bring up 3rd down. Gulliver's defenses look pretty good here. Dunn, Hacker, Fernaris, Delau, and Jones up front. Caviglia and Gonzalez are the 2 backers. Sean Taylor, the specimen, along with Simon, Loreri, and Ortega. The handoff to Dudley. He loses a yard, so Marianna's first offensive possession goes backwards 4 yards. Jared Delau with the tackle.
Right off the bat, the Gulliver Prep Raider defense stands. A great defense.
Jeff Mathis stands at his own 18. Be handled by Lorari. And the ball's on the ground, and Marianna looks to recover. The first break of the game, Marianna has the ball. Lorari puts the ball on the ground. Cody Clemens recovers. And Marianna has the ball at the Gulliver 45.
Sean, you can talk all you want about the offense, the defense of either team, but what it comes down to is special teams and protecting the football. Here on special teams, Gulliver Prep doesn't protect the football. They're going to have great field position, but a nice lick and a good cover team by Marianna. And it's got the ball back in their offense's hands.
To the ground. Chris Hardrick, the man who knocked the ball loose, is the man who gets the ball first. Gain of 1.
Mike Caviglia, number 55, the linebacker, coming in for the stop, the senior. Coach Howie's saying that all 3 of his linebackers will be playing somewhere next year. We saw Pascal on the first play of the game make a great open field tackle. So we're going to have to watch that linebacking crew as we go across the board there. Number 57, Alex Gonzalez, another good one.
2nd and 9. To the ground. Hardrick thrown for a loss. This time is number 55, Mike Caviglia, the 5'11 senior.
Watch Sean, number 74 in there too. And before anything can get moving, and they've got a couple pretty good backs for Marianna. But when the defensive line and the linebackers are in the backfield, as soon as you get the handoff, it's almost impossible to get anything going. And Sean, we had a fumble.
Oh, we did have a fumble, and Gulliver has the ball. TJ Hacker recovers the ball, and Gulliver's now on offense. So Hardrick put the ball on the ground.
Let's see if we can go back and take a look at it. I think Jared Delau, number 74, watch over there, the defensive tackle. Nobody's on him. You got to put a body in him. Wraps up, the ball comes popping out, and it's number 62 that recovers it, TJ Hacker. And you've got to get a body on big number 74. Great play, Jared Delau, but it's easy for him. Nobody touches him at all. He just steps back there and hits the running back in the backfield.
Coach Guy talking to his offense. Boy, that was the quietest fumble I think I've ever seen in football. We're sitting there waiting for the next play. Next thing you know, Gulliver's offense is out on the field.
But we're going to
There was no celebration. There was no nothing. They're just out on the field. So we'll get to see the Gulliver offense for the first time. Buck Ortega, the quarterback. 601 yards, 6 TDs, 2 picks. He's been hampered with an ankle injury, but he's healthy now. They go to the ground with Sean Taylor. And Taylor picks up 5. Let's take a look at the offense. For the Raiders, Taylor, Pascal, Larry, Warshaw, and Toby. Packard, Delau, Haney, Blatcher, and Dunn up front.
And Sean, number 2, Jeff Mathis, the guy making that tackle. He's the starting quarterback and also the leading tackler for the Marianna defense. How often do you get that?
They're going with what got him here. Sean Taylor on the toss sweep. And Taylor knocked out of bounds, but not after he picks up a first down. Sean Taylor, 6'3", 210 pounds.
Sean, watch number 19, Jonathan Warshaw. Boom, he's right there at the top. Comes back with a great crackback on the outside linebacker, and that allows Sean Taylor, number 1, to get to the corner. Watch this. Watch number 9 come into the picture. 19, boom. And that gives the corner to Sean Taylor, and it's off to the sidelines, rather, for a first down.
This time they go to the fullback. Ball's on the ground. Pascal, the ball's on the ground. Marianna saying, we got it. And they do. Jeff Bossy with the recovery. So Gulliver showing some nerves early. 2 fumbles in the first 3 minutes of this game.
Marianna needs to take advantage. This will be the second time they've gotten the ball in good field position from the turnovers. They need to do something with it now.
It's going to be a reverse. Rashard Dudley. And Dudley meets Sean Taylor, but not after he gained 6.
And a great job, Sean, by the Gulliver Prep defense. This is what you call sudden change. A lot of times as an offense, you like to get a quick turnover, you get that defense on the field, you maybe go up top, try to go deep on them, or you run a razzle-dazzle play like this little reverse right here. But a good job, good turnaround. Gulliver Prep defense thought they'd sit on the bench for a little bit, but they come out, and there's Sean Taylor coming across the field. Great play and the sudden change to hold right there. You can really lull a defense to sleep a lot of times with the first play back out on the field after a big turnover like that.
Mathis, it looked like some miscommunication. Now he's going to try to keep it. He's going to be brought to the ground, but he's going to be very close to a first down. How about Mathis? It looked like everything went wrong. He just said, hey, all right, I'll do it myself.
Well, Mathis showing some scrappiness, and obviously you see from the offensive line, developed run play, they missed the handoff, some miscommunication in the backfield. Mathis tucks it under and picks up a hard-fought first down. Good heady play by the senior quarterback. And you know he's a tough guy, Sean, as I pointed out earlier, leading tackler, number 2.
To the ground with Dudley. Dudley stays on his feet. First down, Marianna. Alfredo Pascal had the first shot on Dudley. Dudley spun right off and picked up the first down.
And here on this drive, we're seeing the scrappiness that got this Marianna Bulldog bunch here. Boom, there's one missed tackle. Now watch Dudley run. The power twisting turn, he never stops those feet. If you watch, those feet are always churning, always driving. You get those feet stopped, you lose your power, and you can't make those kind of moves with a good run by Dudley.
They go to the ground. Chris Hardrick picks up a couple. Marianna putting together a pretty good drive here. Moving the chains.
And once they get into the flow of their offense, they'll fool you with a lot of misdirection. Very deceiving is this Marianna offense. And then they'll mix in some play action passes. So you've got to be careful. You can't let them get in the groove defensively if you're a Gulliver Prep Raider.
Going to the ground. Hardrick, no gain. That's what happened a week ago. They kept pounding Sal Sumter, then all of a sudden, boom, they go to play action. They hit David Jones on about a 40-yard touchdown pass. That's how they got the early lead on the road a week ago. And you could see James Gulliver almost 11 guys on the line of scrimmage.
Sean, it's really tough to defend. You get so many guys in the box, and as far as broadcast goes, Merry Christmas to everybody. This is the second game, but last night we had that with a Venice team who could sneak somebody out of the back. They run the ball so much and it's tricky with the pass.
Mathis. And Mathis is going to be brought to the ground. Alex Gonzalez along with Alfredo Pascal. Loss of 9.
Watch number 57, Alex Gonzalez. He makes up his mind. He's going to go make this tackle. Boom. He puts his head down and he bursts of speed, goes and wraps up and makes the play. Excellent job. Alex Gonzalez doesn't give any time, and here Alex Gonzalez, the linebacker, leaving his area there in the middle to go make that play. And had he given up any more time, it could have been complete.
Mathis's punt is nearly blocked. It'll be handled by George Larreri. And Larreri brings it out to the 20. Well, we're halfway through the first quarter of play. We have no score in the Class 2A state championship game. The FHSAA Florida Football Finals on Sunshine Network are being brought to you by Dodge. In a perfect world, everything would be different. We return to action. We're halfway through the first quarter. Gulliver has the ball, but they were just backed up 15 yards. A personal foul assessed against Gulliver on the punt return. So 1st and 10 from their 10. Sean Taylor going nowhere. Loss of 2. So let's take a look at the Marianna men up front. Sims, Slinkard, Hardrick, Rich, and Dixon, only a sophomore. Vickery, Bossy, and Dudley are the backers. Nichols, Dickens, and there's Jeff Mathis, the safety, playing both ways. Turns out Jeff Mathis made the tackle. His second of the game, and as James mentioned, he's the leading tackler for the Marianna Bulldogs. Sean Taylor trying to turn the corner. Mathis can't bring him down, but Jeff Bossy does. 7-yard gain, and that'll bring up probably a 3rd and 2.
And there's going to be a lot of breath holding on the purple and gold side today, because you can tell every time this guy gets his hands on the ball, it has the potential to go out the gate. Good job by Mathis coming up and slowing him up and giving his teammate enough time to run him out of bounds. 3rd and short, Raiders.
On the season, Taylor has over 1,300 yards. Going to Taylor again, and Taylor lowers his shoulder. 1st down, Raiders.
Jeff Bossy's going to come up and make this tackle, but watch the power of Sean Taylor. Bossy coming over from the linebacker spot and just really overpowers number 11. 185 pounds going up against Sean Taylor, who is about 210, 212 pounds.
Ortega rolls. Ortega throws and cannot connect. He was trying to find Ricky Barron, couldn't connect.
Sean, there's the 2A player of the year, Rashard Dudley. Does a lot of damage on offense, and here coming from his linebacker spot, covering out into the flat. Watch him read and make this play on this football. Great play defensively to break up this pass. Way to time it up and just step right in front of the receiver. Good job by number 5.
Taylor, the ball carrier, gain of 3. Kenny Rich, Jeff Bossy with the tackle. So that'll bring up a 3rd down for Gulliver with 3:38 remaining in the first quarter of this Class 2A title game. Coach Steve Howie.
Steve Howie's number 1 guy, Sean Taylor. We've talked about the power we saw it earlier, and you can tell from this last play, you're not going to be able to arm tackle him today. You got to get a body, you got to wrap up on this guy, and it may take 2 or 3 at times.
Taylor pushing his own guys out of the way, trying to head upfield, and he's going to be very close. Looks to be a little bit short. First down, we'll have to bring out the chains. Mathis and Bossy make the tackle. Well, they're going to give it to him. First down, Gulliver.
That's about the third stop on this drive by number 11, Jeff Bossy. Let's watch these linebackers. Watch number 45, Jake Vickery, come outside. He loses his balance. He's got to stay on the outside shoulder of the running back, turn him back into his buddies.
Larry on the inside handoff, going nowhere. Kenny Rich, little misdirection counter.
5'9", 250 pounds. It's the kind of guy you want right there in the middle. Watch him get low underneath. Boom! Stands the running back right up. Nice little pop. This guy's going to leave it all on the field today. You've got nothing but memories after this one. No game next week, so everything you've got, you got to leave it out here on the swamp today. You're playing for a state championship. And the folks from Marianna and the fans from Gulliver Prep, they know what they've come in full force here today to a beautiful day in Gainesville, Florida. Sean, what a great weekend this has been. This has been so much fun to watch these guys in action and to just go and fight with all they've got, trying to win a state championship ring.
Buck Ortega, little blood showing. And if blood is showing, you have to immediately come out of the game and get it patched up. So Marcus Jones will come in at quarterback. Or actually it'll be Jonathan Warshaw, the new quarterback for Gulliver. And on 2nd and 10, going nowhere. Jake Vickery with the stick.
Sean, the defensive front for Marianna, they're just getting underneath on the snap of the ball. You give yourself up as a defensive lineman, and you just try to watch them go low and try to take out the legs of a few of these blockers up front. They give themselves up, and they let these linebackers step in and make the plays. A lot of times in the defensive line, you're taught to hold up the O-line and let the linebackers make a play behind you.
Ortega back in. Ortega thinking about doing it himself, but he only can get back to the line of scrimmage. Cornelius Dixon with, well, it'll be a tackle, not a sack, as Ortega's able to pick up about 1. So bring up 4th and 9. A defensive struggle early on in the 2A title game.
Sean, Buck Ortega limping noticeably coming off the sidelines. That ankle's been bothering him a good deal this year.
Peter Simon, low line drive. Rashard Dudley back. He lets it die. So Marianna, the defense stiffens, forces the punt. We're late in the first. Marianna has the ball. Welcome back. Marianna has the ball, 1st and 10. Flags on the play as Dudley goes up the middle. Another flag comes flying, so we could have multiple penalties. They're just looking for a few good men.
There's a good man right in the middle. They've recruited a good man. I don't know with those eyes if he can pass the physical to get into the Marines. You talk about a setup right outside the swamp. The Marines, they've got a big Humvee playing all kinds of good music.
Illegal shift on the offense. 5-yard penalty from the previous spot. Repeat first down.
Our head official today is Joe Wild out of Vero Beach, and the crew's out of Vero. So back, Marianna up 5. First and 15. To the ground with Dudley. Alex Gonzalez, he's had a big first quarter, bringing Dudley to the ground.
They try to run a little trap play away from Alex Gonzalez, and watch number 57 read the guy pulling. Boom. He just follows the defensive lineman, where the offensive lineman, where he leaves his spot, he goes in that space and steps through and makes a play. That's a good linebacker play. That's something that you really can't teach. It's just called instinct. That's a linebacker instinct, and Alex Gonzalez has been very impressive here in the early goings of this game.
Second and 14. Dudley takes the pitch. He has a speed. First down, Marianna. Buck Ortega knocked him out of bounds, but not after Dudley picked up 15 and a Marianna first down.
Sean, I want to take a look at this. Watch it, all the Gulliver Prep bodies that hit the turf. There's one, there's two, and here's going to be a third that's out of the screen. Ortega finally hanging on and making the tackle, but there were three bodies on the grass right off the bat. Good blocking up front by the fullback and by that offensive line for the Bulldogs.
Richard Dudley, 28 yards so far in this game. 3 seconds remaining in the quarter. This should be the final play. Chris Hardrick, the ball carrier, picks up 2 or 3, and that will be the final play of the first quarter of the 2A state championship game. It has been a defensive struggle. Marianna and Gulliver only able to muster up a couple first downs. We're all knotted up at 0. Stay with us. Welcome back to the Class 2A state championship game. Marianna Gulliver Prep all knotted up at 0 as we begin the second quarter of action. Sean Alvashar here, joined alongside by James Bates. Charles Davis is down on the field.
Look at the Gulliver Prep cheerleaders. For those of you wondering, Miami is where Gulliver Prep is, and of course Marianna over in the Panhandle. So really covering both ends of the state, and one man will be left standing at the conclusion of this 2A state championship.
Second and 8. The pitch, Dudley. Dudley making his own room. Dudley into the secondary. Dudley in a foot race. And Dudley puts Marianna up 6-0. Yard touchdown run for Richard Dudley.
Sean, you've got to wrap up, and there you see number 55, the linebacker for Gulliver Prep, Mike Caligia, coming across, overrunning the football. You got to stay in those gaps, and Dudley makes him pay, and he's out the gate, and it's touchdown. Marianna Bulldogs on the scoreboard.
Coach Guy, the way I drew it up. Chris Nichols. The extra point is up, and it is good. So the quarter break worked out good for Marianna. They said Richard Dudley raced 62 yards. We need a score. And that's what he did. The Florida Football Finals on Sunshine Network is brought to you by Nextel, how business gets done. Call 1-800-NEXTEL-9. Marianna has just taken a 7-0 lead on a Richard Dudley 62-yard touchdown run. Chris Nichols placing the ball on the tee as he gets ready to kick off for the Bulldogs of Marianna.
Sean, 8 guys lined up to his left on this kickoff team. Watch this guy kick, pooch kick, onside kicked over there to the left.
Pooch kick. Got it right, James, and pooches it right to the bench. So Gulliver will be on offense. Let's take one more look at Richard Dudley racing 62 yards.
And a great play by the linebacking core all day long for Gulliver Prep, but watch number 55, Caviglia, overruns the football. That's his responsibility, that backside cutback hole. You can't make the play every time, but you've got to play position. And there goes Dudley 62 yards later. There's one of the reasons why he was the 2A Player of the Year and up for Mr. Football.
So Joe Wild announcing the penalty, which was the kickoff going out of bounds. Declined. Gulliver wants the ball at the 42. Four plays, 75 yards, capped off by Dudley's 62-yard run. Sean Taylor, thrown for a loss. Chris Hardrick making the play for Marianna.
Well, here's Hardrick. You lose somebody by pulling him across, and you're going to lose a blocker. And Hardrick coming through from his linebacker spot and doesn't give Sean Taylor any time at all to get out in the open and use that athletic ability. He was there, almost took the handoff, and he wants that solo tackle. He doesn't want any part of an assist. Won't let his buddy even help him out.
Ortega back to pass, to throw. Nearly completes it. Trying to connect with Jonathan Warshaw. Andre Ziegler got a tip. Garen Dickens back there on defense as well.
Ortega lucky that number 20, Andre Ziegler, gets turned around. Watch him. He drops and tries to plant and turn back the other way to make the play. Gets his hands on the ball, but if he set up square, that would have been an interception. He's got to be careful and watch those linebackers dropping into coverage.
The wind's starting to kick up here in Gainesville. The toss to Sean Taylor. And Taylor making something out of nothing. Picking up about 3.
Marianna doing a good job of stretching this football play out. But again, just like the touchdown run we saw by Marianna, everybody's got to stay in their lanes. You got to keep them in a vice. You can't overrun. And Sean Taylor makes a couple guys miss and turns what could have been a loss into a small gain.
Poor snap. Peter Simon does his best to get it off, but that might have been blocked. And it will roll dead. So another big play for Marianna. I believe Cody Clemens was able to get a piece of it. Simon couldn't handle the snap. He tried to get the kickoff. Clemens gets a piece, and it's only a 13-yard punt. And Marianna back in business. 1st and 10 for Marianna, and the breaks. Well, Marianna's creating most of them. A couple fumbles, and that time the blocked punt.
Sean, with the turnovers in this blocked punt, you're losing, if you're going for prep, you're losing the field position game.
Dudley. Gain of 3. Caviglia, Ortega. Lead the Raider D there.
And Chris Hardrick leading the way from the fullback position there for Dudley. He just made a big play on defense, but Hardrick not looking anybody up. You got to look somebody up and block somebody. He's just leading the show, thinks Dudley's going to take it to the house every time he touches the ball. You got to pick somebody up, help your guy out a little bit. Defense stands.
Rashard Dudley, 93 yards already. He's the man in the backfield. Mathis brought to the ground. Marcus Jones with the tackle. 5'11", 191-pound sophomore. So the future is bright at Gulliver.
And Marcus doing a good job, defensive end, getting his hands on the tight end, coming inside and taking that quarterback responsibility on the option.
3rd and 6 for the Marianna Bulldogs, and they want to talk about it. They have called a timeout, so we'll take a timeout. Stay with us. The Florida Football Finals on Sunshine Network is being brought to you in part by Steak and Shake, famous for steak party. Rashard Dudley is on the sideline on this 3rd and 6. Chris Hardrick is in the backfield. Mathis rolling. Mathis stays on his feet, but he runs out of real estate. Alex Gonzalez, number 57, was the man with the pressure. And what a game Gonzalez has had. Maybe not statistically, but he's caused all sorts of havoc. Let's take a look at Marianna coach Greg Guy.
Little intensity on the sidelines, and Sean, you're right, number 57 all over the field defensively for these Raiders.
Pretty good kick. Mathis. He'll be knocked out at the 22.
Mathis doing it all. We see him at quarterback, defensive back, the punter. Another guy doesn't leave the field. Here's that last play defensively. Watch number 57. Sean, watch this burst. When this guy decides he wants to go make a play, he turns on the burners and gets after it. There he is, not making the play on Mathis, but really running him out of bounds. Number 57 is going to make one college very happy. Take his services to the next level because he's already head and shoulders above a lot of high school guys coming in.
Buck Ortega. He's going to keep it, but he might have lost a yard.
Well, the University of Miami happy to already have a commitment from Buck Ortega. And Buck Ortega playing today here in the Swamp, where his dad, defensive coordinator Ralph Ortega, played his college football. Ralph Ortega, a very good football player for the Gators, and back when they didn't call it the Swamp, it was still, I think, just a marsh at that time. They didn't have all the big north end zone and everything else that's going on.
To the ground with Taylor. Marianna was waiting. Richard Dudley making the play, and Taylor is still on the ground.
Cornelius Dixon is also going to come on this, but who makes this play happen is Richard Dudley coming from the corner. No one there to block him. And when you don't have a receiver out there, he's lined up. Let's take another look at it. Here's a look at Taylor. See if we can see the legs maybe cut out from under him by Richard Dudley.
Third down.
Dudley off the field on that 3rd and long, getting his what looked to be his wrist taped up, but showing you that he is definitely okay and ready to play some more football today. And Sean Taylor popping up, so he's okay too. Good to see everybody healthy right now in this contest.
3rd and 14. Gulliver empties the backfield, and Ortega's going to try to run for it. And Ortega dives, and it's going to come down to the mark. He's very, very close, and he might have it. Jeff Mathis with the tackle. First down, Raiders. Pretty good play call. Empty the backfield, spread the field, and see if Ortega can get it.
Well, you've only got one linebacker left in, and he's going to go down and cover. But if you watch, the linebacker, middle linebacker that's left in the game drops straight into pass coverage. But if you watch the left guard right off the bat, it tells you this isn't a pass play because that line takes off. They're run blocking. And Ortega makes him pay and picks up the first down.
Pascal gains 1.
Let's watch this, Sean. Here's the 3rd and long. Watch the offensive line. When the offensive linemen come pushing out, they cannot block downfield on a pass play. So as a linebacker and as a defensive lineman, you've got to know, hey, this play will not be thrown. We've got to do something and stop this quarterback. This defense is spread thin, but you've got to stand in and make the play. You can't drop into pass coverage right there.
Ortega thinking a little bit about the option, but Chris Hardrick has none of that knifing through and bringing Ortega to the ground. And that'll bring up a 3rd and 11. During the regular season, Buck Ortega only threw for 600 yards and 6 touchdowns. This is a team that wins their games on the ground, not through the air. So a 3rd and long once again for the Raiders. The throwback to Taylor. There's a flag on the play. Taylor breaks the tackle. And Taylor across midfield, but hang on a minute. This might be coming all the way back. If it stands, it was a 23-yard gain. It's gonna stand. The penalty being assessed against Marianna.
Sean, Richard Dudley saving the day, touchdown saving tackle to come across the field and make the tackle on Sean Taylor. But a big pickup. And the penalty going against Marianna. So it's first down. Gulliver Prep will be tacked on at the end.
see if we can see the personal foul, Batesy.
Well, roughing the passer is the call. Let's watch number 45, Jake Vickery. Coming around the edge, ball's gone. And you've got two guys. You've got number 32, Chris Hardrick, and number 45, Jake Vickery. At the same time, they collide together on Buck Ortega well after he had gotten rid of that football. So being a personal foul, not only do you get the big play by Sean Taylor, but you tack on 15 more. And Gulliver Prep finds itself with a good opportunity here with 6 minutes and 13 seconds left in this first half.
On this drive, Gulliver Prep has had 2 third and longs. When I say long, I mean over 10 yards. They have converted on both. First one on Buck Ortega's keeper, and then they get into a 3rd and 11. They do the throwback to Sean Taylor. He picks up 23, tack on 15 for the personal foul, and it's a 38-yard gain. Gulliver is in business on the Marianna 32.
Marianna better get somebody down here at the bottom on Sean Taylor. They finally do. Sean Taylor lined up at the bottom of your screen. There's a wide receiver right now.
To the ground with Pascal. Pascal into the secondary. And Bernard Holden, the man who saved the touchdown. 27-yard gain. Interesting. They put Taylor as a wideout. They're so focused on Taylor, and then they just run a simple lead with Pascal.
This defense has done such a good job of stopping the stud number 1, Sean Taylor, all day. Then Pascal gets into the game. He's only had 12 carries throughout these playoffs, and he breaks one loose for a big gain, and the Raiders are scoring territory.
Ortega nearly fumbles the snap. Ortega looking for a block from Sean Taylor, and he's going to get it. The dive, and he's going to be a hair short.
Sean, the way Ortega handles this football looks almost as if he wanted to try to toss it in front to Sean Taylor. Sean Taylor coming across, clearing traffic for him a little bit.
2nd and goal. Taylor over the top, reminiscent of last week. Touchdown, Gulliver. And Gulliver is 1 point away from tying this game up with 5:32 remaining in the half.
Sean, you talked about it. We saw the highlight of the Immokalee game, went into 2 overtimes last week, and it was Sean Taylor with that exact same play going over the top, showing his leaping ability for the touchdown.
Peter Simon puts it through. And we are all tied up at 7 apiece here in the Class 2A state championship game.
Well, this is 2 plays ago. It's Sean Taylor, a little bit of confusion, but he's still fighting, decides to go clear the traffic for his man Buck Ortega to get him down to the goal line. And then the very next play, nice little surge there by the Marianna defense, but you've got to time it up and go up top. As a linebacker, you've got to leave the ground right when the running back leaves the ground, meet him halfway in the air for the big collision. Nobody left their feet, they left standing, and it's hard to get a Sean Taylor when he's airborne from standing on the ground. So it's a touchdown, and we've got a tied ball game, 7-7, 5:32 left in the game. And Sean, close games, well, nothing new to Gulliver Prep, especially in these playoffs. 8 points combined are all that have decided their 4 playoff victories. Of course, the Immokalee game we talked about at 29-28. The Pace game was 32-29. Chaminade 21-20, and American Heritage 24-21. And all you got to do is believe a little bit.
Well, last week, Gulliver, they really needed to believe. In the state semi, they're up 14-8 against Immokalee. With under 2 minutes to go, Immokalee puts on an improbable drive over 70 yards. They score, they tie the game up, and with 3 seconds to go, an extra point wins it. Right? Immokalee's extra extra point hits the upright, and that's how the game gets sent to overtime. So Gulliver right now living on some borrowed time. 7 plays, 78 yards, finished off by Sean Taylor's 1-yard run. Sky kick, it's up in the air, and it's on the ground. Sean Taylor recovers. Now he's going to return it, but he cannot. It's a muff, but that is Gulliver ball.
Sean, you've got to fair catch this football. If you throw that arm up and wave the arm just like you're returning a punt, they cannot come around you. They've got to give you a chance to catch the football. Let's take a look at it. All you have to do, David Jones, number 25, this guy, there he is right there in your screen. All he's got to do is wave his hand. He gets guys around him who they can really take him out. Once he touches that ball, if he doesn't fair catch it, and that's just what they do. A great job, a good kick, and great coverage. This is something they've worked on. You can talk about it. Gulliver Prep, and it's Sean Taylor, the big man, picking it up, and the Raiders have the ball again.
You see how he got that ball? Like with one hand, he just reached out and just snatched it. This time, Chris Hardrick snatches Sean Taylor, loss of 5. Chris Hardrick, 5 tackles here in the first half. A couple of those are for loss.
This is a big one. Sean Taylor doing some damage on that kickoff, but he hasn't done much damage from his running back position. And there's Hardrick. You got to put a body on a body. You can't let defensive linemen and linebackers just roam into the backfield like that.
Aaron Blank, the center, having all sorts of problems with Chris Hardrick. The ball's on the ground, it's fumbled. And Marianna has recovered. Jeff Bossy, Johnny on the spot. His second fumble recovery here in the game.
And again, we've talked about it throughout these championship games. You get this far, the 15th game of the season, and these kind of things shouldn't be happening. It looked like the exchange between the center and the quarterback was way off. The linemen already all moving, and Buck Ortega couldn't pull it out.
Mathis, looks like a broken play. Tim Tobey bringing him to the ground. So Gulliver goes for the sky kick, works to perfection. They get it. 2 plays later, they fumble it right back to Marianna. Both teams having trouble hanging on to the ball here in the first half of this 2A title game. Second and 12. Hardrick picks up a couple. So it's going to be 3rd and a long short 9 or a long 10, depending on how you want it. There's Dudley. Sean Taylor.
Oh, we're gonna have to keep an eye on those two throughout the day. A little bit of smack still being talked as they back up to the huddle. So a 3rd and long. Remember, Gulliver converting 2 big 3rd and longs on their touchdown drive.
Probably just ask him to come over to the hotel, hang out a little bit after the game. Dudley gets the ball. Taylor pushes him out of bounds, and that'll bring up 4th down for Marianna.
Hey, haven't I seen you somewhere before? Here's Dudley and Sean Taylor coming after him after the words they just had. He gets around number 14, Peter Simon, and it's Sean Taylor saving the 1st down and pushing him out of bounds, bringing up the 4th down. So 3:17, plenty of time for Buck Ortega and his troops to march it down.
Jeff Mathis gets the punt off a very high kick. And it sails out of bounds into the swirling winds here at the Swamp. There's some tired players down on that field. It's very hot, and many of them are not coming off the field. 15-yard punt for Mathis. There's another man, a two-way player, Iron Man football.
And you talk about these guys playing both ways, and one thing we really haven't harped on so far in these championship games, Sean, this is the 15th game of the season for these high school football players. You tack on two-a-days and the fact that they do play two ways, and then you've got your classes and running around. It makes for a long football season. Here we sit in December, almost Christmas time.
Ortega looking for Sean Taylor. He's going to overthrow everybody. Darren Dickens was the deep safety there. Gulliver Prep, they had finals on Friday morning. They had to take their finals, and then when they were complete, then they hopped on the bus and made the trip up to Gainesville on Friday afternoon. They stayed overnight. Here they are. So, as you said, classes take precedence over athletics, as they should.
You think they respect the speed of Sean Taylor?
Well, are those DBs even in Alachua County?
nice little cushion.
They're pretty far back.
You've got to see that and take advantage. Still a big cushion right now. Just run the hitch and try to make that move in open field. Here they go with it.
The hitch out to Taylor. Dickens makes the tackle, but not after. Taylor picks up the first down, and you called it, James. Run the hitch.
Run the hitch. If you're going to play 12 yards off, I'm going to run that hitch all day long, because then you get it's one-on-one. That cornerback's on an island, and he's got to come up, and you've got to respect the speed. You don't want to get beat deep, but still you've got to play a little bit tighter. You can't give these guys this hitch all day long with an athlete like Sean Taylor out there on the edge.
Coach Howie says the biggest key to having a player like Taylor is to move him around quite a bit so no one can key on where he can be. They were thinking hitch, and now Ortega's in all sorts of trouble. He's back on his own 15. Ortega throws. The intended receiver was number 11, Tim Tobey, and tell you what, give Ortega credit. Well, Bernard Holden was the man chasing down Ortega.
So many times in these championship games, we've seen quarterbacks not be able to get rid of the football and taking huge losses on the sacks. Here's this route that Taylor ran. This time they try to run a little hitch and go, which is the cause for the delay. There you see Rashard Dudley, the running back slash linebacker, trying to come out and help out a little bit. And Sean Taylor, both sides of the football doing it all. We saw him on special teams. He's a little bit winded right now.
And now he's on the sitting down, catching a breather. 2nd and 10 to the ground with Alfredo Pascal. Pascal, first down.
So the Raiders put the fresh legs in, and right up the middle again. Pascal with another big run. Watch this hole up front, and overrunning the football a little bit is number 11, Jeff Fossey, who's been in on a lot of tackles for this Marianna defense today.
15-yard gain for Pascal. They play action to him. Ortega looking deep. He has a man, and he just can't connect. Jonathan Warshaw had some separation on Darren Dickens, but Ortega could not connect, and that's a tough throw in these wins.
Well, Sean, Ortega showing off his arm a little bit here, and showing it off, as you see, just a tad too much off the fingertips in the corner of the end zone. But that's a pretty good ball thrown. Jonathan Warshaw trying to make the touchdown, and number 3 can whip it around a little bit, come to see.
The numbers on Ortega, not good. 2 of 7 for 34 yards. Ortega throwing over the middle. Mathis, the safety, laying out, nearly had the pick. The intended receiver was Tim Tobey. But it was a lot closer to that man, Jeff Mathis. You have to think a lot of these guys are looking for oxygen tanks now. Jeff Mathis playing quarterback, playing safety.
Well, Sean Taylor not even going to the huddle. Here he's going to walk over to the huddle right now as there's a timeout on the field. Gulliver Prep calling a timeout. But it looks like they're going to line him up by himself down here near side of the field and just try to get him one-on-one again, Sean. A lot of teams, they play this soft cover 3 in high school, and if you're patient, you can run those hitches until they try to decide that they're going to stop them, and then you try to beat them deep.
The Florida Football Finals on Sunshine Network are being brought to you by Checkers. High performance, human fuel. You really have to wonder with these two-way players what kind of fuel they have left here in the first half. Many of them bending over, a little bit winded. There's no game next week. There's nothing to save it for. This is for the title. Once again, the winds start kicking up.
It's picking up here in the press box. You can hear it. We got it blowing in our mics, and you know we're in the swamp, so you know that's not that Seminole wind. There are the flags.
3rd and 10 for Gulliver. The hitch to Taylor, and Taylor looking deep. He's got a man. He cannot connect. Alfredo Pascal was clear on the post, but Taylor could not connect. Jeff Mathis on the coverage.
Well, with that cushion, there's so much you can do with Sean Taylor over here by himself. And here, he's just a little bit too fast. Sure, you've got the pressure. You've got to set, get that ball in the hands. He's got the gloves on, so he can't get a great feel on it. But you've got to get rid of the ball fairly quick, but gets rid of it just a little bit too quick, because all he had to do was hang it up there for his receiver, and it would have been a touchdown for Gulliver Prep.
And that's a good point, and if he took the gloves off, that probably would have been an indication to the defense that something was up. 4th down, 10 to go. They kick it out to Taylor. Taylor, he's throwing, and he's throwing for Ortega. Ortega, the quarterback. But there are flags everywhere. How about that play?
I have never seen this play.
Illegal man downfield, so it's all coming back.
Maybe took a little bit too long to develop. Let's watch Ortega work. Watch Buck Ortega, a guy who caught a 73-yard touchdown pass in these playoffs. Throws it out. And now, you know, and it's almost, because when Sean Taylor caught that pass, he tried to run really the same, throw to the same guy down the field that he did last time. He looked.
Field on the offense. 5-yard penalty. Repeat, 4th down.
He looked down the field. His receiver was covered. I think Buck Ortega saw it, and it's almost like this play wasn't drawn up, and Buck Ortega and Sean Taylor on the same page. Pretty smart play, but the offensive linemen weren't on the same page. It's a very interesting play call, if you will.
Just to be clear, it was not Ortega who the penalty was assessed on. It was on a lineman. Peter Simon. Very high kick, end over end. Handled by Dudley. They wait for him and bring him down to the 20. 35-yard kick. 1:05 remains in the half. We're all knotted up at 7 apiece. And even though these defenses are winded, they're coming up big. They're coming up with the stops. If you're thinking about a big-time Marianna drive, they still may do it, but they're going to have to do it without timeouts. They have burned all 3. With 65 ticks left on the clock.
You saw him on the field, and you see him over on the bench. Everybody a little bit winded here in the swamp today. Hot day in Gainesville.
Well, here's a guy that can make it all move. He can race 80 yards, but he puts the ball on the ground. Fumble. And Peter Simon has recovered.
Well, the last thing you're thinking if you're a Marianna Bulldog is turning the ball over. You're hoping to drive it down the other end of the field. A couple guys in on the stop, and that's what we talk about, gang tackling. You get first guy in there's got to ensure the tackle. Boom, wraps up, good play. Alfredo Pascal And then coming in to clean it up, Tim Tobey, number 11, and number 57 at linebacker, Ralph Ortega. Huge play for the Raiders.
Tim Tobey stripping the ball out of Dudley's hands. Gulliver on offense. It's Pascal, the man who recovered the ball. He scores the touchdown. And Gulliver, with 47 seconds remaining in the half, goes up 13-7. A huge situation developing here at the end of the half.
What a turn of events. And it's Pascal, number 5, who's had 3 big runs, this being the biggest. And watch number 73, Eric Blatcher, right in front of him. Boom! A pancake block right on the goal line to open things up and clear the way for Pascal.
The extra point is up. It is good. Peter Simon connects on his second extra point. There's the man of the moment, Alfredo Pascal. He wants that championship ring. He recovered the fumble and he scored the TD. And right now, his Raiders are up by 7.
You got to point out his man, Eric, right next to him. Helped him get into the end zone. So the Raiders have got some momentum. They've got to play 47 more seconds of football. And as quick as that series of events took place, Marianna head coach making sure his guys hold on to the football. Here's another look at it. Watch big number 73 leading the way. Guys all pinned inside there, and watch 73 on number 1 for Marianna, Garen Dickens.
Rashard Dudley. He was the man who had the ball stripped out of his hands by Tim Tobey, which led to the touchdown. You saw Peter Simon, the man who recovered the ball.
Now remember, Sean, last time Gulliver Prep kicked off, they got the ball on a little sky kick, and hopefully the coaches got that coached up. If this ball goes in the air, you've got to fair catch it along that front line.
A deeper sky kick. It'll be handled by Mathis, and Mathis is met by Sean Taylor. I guess he's got his wind back. Oof.
Well, I'll say these guys went back. This guy is everywhere on the football field. And just a great open field tackle. One of the hardest things to do in football is to run down full speed on kickoff or punt and to come under control and make a tackle. He doesn't even hesitate to bring his feet under control. He just runs right through Jeff Mathis, who is a great athlete in his own right. But Sean Taylor delivering a huge lick on kickoff coverage, too.
The ball's on the ground, and Gulliver has recovered. The final 65 seconds of this game has been a nightmare for Marianna. Tim Tobey recovers the ball. He had the strip before. This time he gets the recovery. And now Gulliver has a chance to go up by 10, maybe even 14 right before the end of the half.
38 seconds is what's left in this first half, and it didn't take that long to stick it in the end zone after the last turnover. And Rashard Dudley and Jeff Mathis, back-to-back turnovers, 2 players that really got him here.
Ortega, he's going to throw back. He has a wide-open Sean Taylor. Touchdown, Gulliver. There is a flag. This will probably be assessed against Taylor for celebrating. But how do you lose sight of Sean Taylor? Wide open. Nobody goes with him.
They're lined up as the tailback, and everybody went with the flow the other way. Ortega turning around and finding Sean Taylor. The closest guy to him was the defensive end, Cornelius Dixon, and that's not his responsibility out there. And if it is, something's rotten in Denmark, because Cornelius Dixon can't hang around with the likes of Sean Taylor. You've got to put a linebacker or a defensive back on this man, and he's wide open. That's probably the easiest touchdown of this season, his 42nd touchdown. 42, Sean. 42.
You're the real estate champs, baby.
So they flag Taylor for hopping into the end zone. So the extra point by Peter Simon will be of 35 yards. It is up, and it is good. So with 1:05 remaining, it was all knotted up at 7 apiece, and Marianna was thinking, hey, let's put together a pretty good drive. Their last 2 plays have been 2 fumbles. Gulliver has also run 2 plays, and they've accounted for 33 yards and 2 touchdowns. And right now, Gulliver, with 28 seconds, leads 21-7.
In 28 seconds from now, it'll be a well-deserved rest for Sean Taylor and his troops. As we saw last time, the Raiders kicked off, Sean Taylor making the huge lick to keep the momentum on the Gulliver Prep side. And boy, did it ever intensify shortly after that with the fumble by Jeff Mathis. And then it's boom, boom, boom right into the end zone. Like clockwork, Buck Ortega finding Sean Taylor wide open.
Marianna will be thinking about these 37 seconds when they go into the locker room. 65 ticks away from going into the half tied. 37 seconds later, they're down 21-7.
You know, it might help to have a football sitting on that tee to kick off. There we finally get one. We had 22 guys on the field all lined up, and the only thing missing was the pigskin. Thank you very much.
So Peter Simon, the sky kick once again, handled by Mathis. Mathis, he's trying to find a lane, but there's nowhere to go as he's brought down at the 25. Timmy Toby. Boy, he's been everywhere lately. First and 10 for Marianna, 20 seconds to go, and you have to think right now with no timeouts, they just want to get into the locker room.
Yes, I think you take a knee here. The Raiders with only 2 timeouts left, but you take a knee, you take it to the locker room, and you've got a whole second half to play.
Drop.
Mathis keeps it, and he's driven to the ground. Alfredo Pascal, his 6th tackle of the half.
They'll let this one run out, Sean. Won't get another playoff, so 21-7 will be our halftime score, and the Marianna Bulldogs need to go in and regroup.
There were 6 turnovers in the first half, but none more pressing than the 2, which occurred in the final 65 seconds of the half. And Gulliver turns it into 2 touchdowns. Let's head down to the field with Charles Davis.
Coach, quite a turn of events in the last 1 minute and 5 seconds. How do you plan to talk to your team about keeping the momentum after a halftime break?
Well, that's exactly what they have to do. We still haven't played a good game yet. We've turned the ball over twice, and I told you before the game started, that's going to be the difference in the game. And we got our points off of a turnover, and we got theirs off of a turnover.
Are you starting to feel like the guys get into a little bit of a better groove as things went along?
Second quarter, we got things going offensively and defensively. So, if we just continue that momentum, we'll be okay.
All right, Coach, good luck in the second half. All right, Sean, take it away.
Well, you sure hope that Coach Howie and Coach Guy have oxygen tanks in the locker room, because both these guys are tired. Gulliver Prep at the half leads Marianna behind that man, 21-7. We are at halftime of the Class 2A state championship game. Gulliver Prep leads Marianna 21-7. Moments ago, Charles Davis had a chance to talk with Coach Guy, the head coach of Marianna.
Coach, tough turn of events at the end of the half. What'd you talk about at the half with your kids?
Well, it's just not our brand of football, turning the football over. 2 of my best players laid it on the ground. And we believe in a game like this, of this magnitude, whoever makes the fewest mistakes wins. And we've made some bad mistakes, and they've capitalized like a good football team will. Now, if we don't make mistakes this half and we can get something going, maybe we'll have a chance. We've been 14 down before, but I don't know. It's awful hot, and we just don't have to play mistake-free to have a chance.
It's always tough to gauge the mood of a team, but did you sense determination coming out for the second half, or did you feel like they were down a little?
This is a different group. They don't get too rah-rah or anything like that. You know, they just kind of stay focused at what the task at hand. So hopefully, you know, we'll come out and see.
All right, Coach, thanks a lot. Good luck in the second half. Back upstairs to you guys.
Let's go to the highlights and turnovers. That was the story of the first half, James.
Yes, it was, and with both teams knotted at 7, turnovers had plagued both teams, but it was this onside kick, sky kick rather, finally picked up by Sean Taylor that put Gulliver in control to go down and take the lead. Then Tim Tobey strips the ball from Dudley. They're late in the first half and sets up a big touchdown for the Gulliver Prep Raiders. Peter Simon recovering that fumble. And here's Alfredo Pascal around the end for an easy touchdown after the turnover. And then shortly after, with seconds to go in the first half, wide open all by himself is Sean Taylor tiptoeing in for another touchdown, 21-7 at the blink of an eye. It's all Raiders.
Well, we're getting ready for the start of the second half. Don't go anywhere. Welcome back as we get ready to start the third quarter of action. Gulliver Prep leads Marianna 21-7, and they are kicking off. And they're going to kick it deep. And it's going to be handled by Sean Taylor at the 2. Taylor on his feet and gets down to the 36, a 34-yard return. Let's take a look at the statistics from the first half and turnovers. Boy, they're so big we put them in yellow for you. 3 apiece, and the big-time number is 14 points created off the 3 turnovers, where Marianna unable to put any points on the board with their turnovers.
And Sean's 88 yards total rushing for Marianna. And remember, 62 of that from Rashard Dudley on the one he broke out the gate for a 62-yard touchdown, the only touchdown and the only points for the Bulldogs. So they need to make something happen to answer in this second half.
Well, Sean Taylor's put out wide, and they go to the simple lead with Alfredo Pascal. Pascal had a TD in the first half.
And really, Sean, that's the first run by Pascal that hasn't been over 10 yards. That's the 4th time he's touched the ball. He's got 2 long runs and then a long touchdown run. And here they finally stop him at the line. And coming into the game, you'd think every time that number 1 Sean Taylor got his hands on the ball, if anybody, he'd be the one breaking it.
58 yards for Pascal in the game. Taylor split out wide again. Top of your screen, and they get it out to him. First down. And it just seems the more we go on in this game, the stronger Sean Taylor gets. 13-yard pickup.
Well, here it is. You saw it late in the first half. We called for it, and this is what it's going to be there all day until Marianna decides to come up and do something about it. But when you're playing soft on a guy like Sean Taylor, you get the ball out to him on the quick hitch and then let him do his damage after the catch. And I'd keep doing it until it works. You just have to be patient.
And that statistical analysis doesn't even break down what he's done on defense. To the ground with Pascal. Nearly drops it, but he gets it, and it should be enough for another Gulliver first down. Gulliver coming out here in the second half with a mission, on a mission.
Well, leading the way is number 42, the fullback, John Valdez, behind that big offensive line. Just opening holes, and wow. It's been used a lot, but that one, you really could. People say you could drive a truck through it, but you really could drive a truck, or maybe a Festiva, I should say. You could drive a Festiva through that hole, but still, any holes, a good hole like that.
Getting it out to Taylor. They're waiting for him as they were playing a little closer to him, and Taylor on his own picks up 3. Kenny Rich, Garen Dickens, bringing him down.
Well, here they bring Andre Ziegler from his outside linebacker spot.
Taylor was a little bit dinged up there, James.
Sean Taylor limping off, but Andre Ziegler, number 20, they decide to cheat him out a little bit and help out there in the flat against Sean Taylor. We'll have to get the update on number 1.
Ortega. He's going to keep it. He's got a lane. Ortega inside the 10. Actually, they're going to make him place the ball at the 11. I guess he stepped out of bounds. 26-yard gain. First down.
And Ortega's very dangerous. He gets outside, and as a defensive end, you've got to keep contained. You've got to keep him inside. There's Cornelius Dixon, number 99, with the pressure, but Ortega just slips outside and goes down deep into Marianna territory. And Buck Ortega, interesting stat, has carried the ball more times in the playoffs than he did combined the entire regular season.
Oh! We have flags, whistles, bells, you name it. Offsides against Gulliver.
Jake Vickery, number 45, comes charging in there. Didn't hear the whistle and got tangled up in Ortega's feet. Looked kind of scary.
Dead ball foul. Encroachment on the offense. 5-yard penalty. Remains first down.
First and 15.
I guess he doesn't hear the whistle, but watch this. Whistle's going, everybody else stops. He wraps him up. Buck Ortega, remember, has that bad ankle already.
To the ground with Pascal. He's wrapped up. Kenny Rich bringing him down. Second and 15 for Gulliver Prep.
Well, for the most part in that first half, the Marianna Bulldog defense had held these Raiders in check, with the exception of a few after turnover touchdowns. It would have been knotted at 7. They need to come up with another big play right here.
All sorts of confusion. Ortega. He throws it. He gets it out to Sean Taylor. Sean Taylor juking and jiving. And Sean Taylor gets down to the 12. And after all of that, it's a gain of 3.
And after all of that, the presence of mind of Buck Ortega, who was tied up and looked like he was going to take about a 15-yard loss. You can tell that they were trying to set something up over to the right side as far as the screen goes to Sean Taylor. Look at all the blockers he has ahead of him. And a good job everybody holding on and going and blocking downfield. There you have, you see Alfredo Pascal, who's had some big runs on the day blocking downfield for Sean Taylor. But for them to get positive yardage out of that, and what really could have been a tackle for a loss outside of field goal range, is big for the Raiders.
3rd and 11. Gulliver Prep, they want to talk about it. They lead 21-7. The FHSAA Florida Football Finals on Sunshine Network are being brought to you by Dodge. In a perfect world, everything would be different. Gulliver Prep, they took a timeout. They had a chance to talk about it. A couple times in this game, they've taken timeouts and they've gone to trick plays. 3rd and 11. Let's see what they have up their sleeve.
Well, you've got to watch Sean Taylor coming out of the backfield to throw back to him.
Taylor in motion. Ortega, he's in trouble. Ortega gets a block. Ortega throwing to the end zone. And Sean Taylor hauls it in. The man-child. Scoring the touchdown, and now the Raiders lead 27-7. What can't this man do?
Well, Sean, you can't say enough. 15 games into the season. Watch this offensive line, how well they work with Buck Ortega. They know it's taken a long time, so they turn and they find their man, and they go pick up guys. Watch this. Boom, Hardrick, you miss it.
The extra point is up, and it is good by Peter Simon. 28-7 is our score. Gulliver Prep in the lead. Get back where we left off.
And then finally, Buck Ortega, after all that time, through the hands of Jeff Mathis. Now let's watch Sean Taylor. They send him out in motion. And about 20 seconds later,
I'm open! I'm open! Throw it me!
Hey, there will be no temper tantrums thrown in the swamp, Sean Taylor. He was open,
man.
And he wanted everybody to know it. And finally, Buck Ortega.
That was great!
Oh, that is good stuff. Sean Taylor, he knew he wanted that touchdown, and he finally got it. And it was sometime later, but you can't say enough about these two guys, number 1, number 3, and then all those big dogs along that offensive line going back and picking up the defenders and helping out Buck Ortega, giving him some more time. And wow, we've seen some crazy things in the swamp, and the dance before the touchdown catch may have been one of the funnest all weekend.
I guess if you're going to get penalized for doing the dance after the touchdown, you might as well do it beforehand when no one's watching. Peter Simon will be kicking off. There's Coach Guy trying to get organized here. 8-play, 65-yard opening drive for Gulliver Prep. Not good for Coach Guy's Marianna Bulldogs. Sky kick. Fair catch is asked for. Well, this is worth another look, James.
Please, can I see this again? Just watch. Now, this is regular speed. We didn't speed this up. Watch how quick the feet are. And it's a shame you finally see it just doing a dance. But let's just watch Sean Taylor. Sean, that looks like it's fast forward. It looks like it's fast forward. Oh, that's good stuff. And here he is. He's still out on the field on defense.
Richard Dudley for Marianna. He has a first down. He's pushed out of bounds. He picks up about 16. And the Bulldogs have a first down. There's no quit. And Richard Dudley.
And Sean, it has to be frustrating for Coach Guy and the Marianna Bulldogs, because really you've got these guys stopped in what could have been a couple great big sacks, taking them out of field goal range, these Gulliver Prep Raiders, and to come out and to get the not just a field goal but the touchdown out of that drive has got to be heartbreaking.
Mathis gets it out to Chris Hardrick, and Hardrick down to the 35, brought down by Taylor. And all that young man needs is a cape. First completion of the game, 29-yard gain.
And really not a team that is just primarily a running team. They just haven't had many opportunities to throw the football. And as you see, very effective. Once Hardrick gets the ball in his hands, he turns it up for a big gain. And so Marianna trying to answer.
Pitch to Dudley. And Dudley picks up a couple, brings up second down. Mike Caviglia with his 6th tackle. Dudley in the game, 12 carries, 109 yards.
Here's a look at Dudley, the 2A Player of the Year. Need to have a big second half from him, especially right now on this drive to get back in the ball game with under 7 minutes to go in third quarter.
Mathis with the keeper, gain of 1.
Alfredo Pascal, his 6th tackle of the day. He's got half a sack. Remember, he had that big touchdown right before the end of the first half. Pascal, Caviglia, Tim Toby, Alex Gonzalez. Good crew of linebackers here for the Raiders.
Mathis to the air, completes it to Darren Dickens. And Dickens inside the 15. First down, Marianna. Buck Ortega hauling him down. 15-yard gain.
Well, a look on the other side of the field as far as the soft zone coverage. And Buck Ortega playing soft on number 1, Garen Dickens. And that's another first down for the Marianna Bulldogs.
The pitch to Dudley. Dudley breaks a tackle. Sean Taylor hog ties him from behind, brings him out of bounds at the 10.
Dudley on the carry. Stopped by Taylor.
Tim Tobey does a good job from his outside linebacker spot here. Missed tackle by Peter Simon, you'll see, but there's the missed tackle by Simon, but it's number 11 that turns him back inside and gives guys like Gonzalez and finally Sean Taylor the time to come over and make the tackle on the sidelines.
Jeff Bossy is laying at the 15-yard line. Marianna trainers are out there taking a peek at him. Maybe a little cramping as they try to stretch those legs out.
Bossy out there playing offense right now as he limps off. We've seen a lot of cramping here in the swamp, and maybe it's that calf. As you look at that right toe, he's having a hard time pushing off on it, so it's what it appears to be is a calf cramp. But Bossy out on offense right now has made a lot of tackles over on the defensive side of the ball.
Hey, there's a big-time Gator, Neil Anderson, former UF Chicago Bear running back. Takes things in.
Hanging out here, a Marianna grad. So a Bulldog, a Gator, and a Bear. And now he lives here in Gainesville. Big golfer and tennis player. Here in the Gainesville circle.
Dudley. He's trying to turn a corner, but Buck Ortega hauls him down. And that'll bring up third down.
Watch Buck Ortega. They give the ball on the quick handoff to Dudley. And Buck Ortega showing some speed himself, coming over and making a huge tackle.
What do you think Dudley's eyes turned into when Ortega's holding him up and he sees Sean Taylor barreling in down on him? Whew. 3rd and 2. To the ground with Dudley. First down. 1st and goal for the Bulldogs. And this is exactly what the Bulldogs needed, a drive. And they need to end it with some points.
Here's a look at it. Good blocking over there. Left side of the line, boom, boom. You see a couple guys, the Raiders, go down on their backs. That strong offensive line bullying around, and Dudley does some bullying of his own, picks up the big first down, and 4:55 now left in this 3rd quarter, so plenty of time to put together drives like this. But you got to put it in the end zone, Sean. You're right, and you've got to get 7 points right now out of this drive.
1st and goal. Mathis, touchdown, Marianna. The first half was all defense. Here in the second half, 2 drives, 2 touchdowns for both teams.
Sean, Coach Guy talked about 2 of his best players making big mistakes in that first half with fumbles. Well, it was 2 of his best players, the same 2 guys, Dudley and finally Jeff Mathis, leading the way and leading the charge down into the end zone.
They're going for 2. They get it out to Rashard Dudley, but the Gulliver Prep Raiders are waiting. Mike Caviglia led the way. They came out in the swinging gate formation, trying to catch Gulliver Prep off guard. Dudley couldn't handle the lateral. Gulliver brings him down. So 28-13 is our score. And how did they get there? Jeff Mathis, 3-yard touchdown run. You see your score. The Florida Football Finals on Sunshine Network are brought to you by iHigh.com, the high school internet network. The Marianna Bulldogs, they're fans. They got to cheer about now. 9-play, 81-yard drive capped off by Jeff Mathis's touchdown. They go for two, don't get it. 28-13 is our score. Very pensive on the Marianna sideline. They still trail by 15. Chris Nichols will be kicking off for Marianna. And now they do the shift. And Marianna wasting no time. They want the ball back, it looks like. The ball comes off the tee, are lined up in the onside formation. And out comes the flag. And we might have a delay of game.
Well, the clock shows 0, but if that ball comes off, now if it comes off one more time, I think you have to have somebody hold the ball on the tee.
Delay of the game.
And they are calling the delay of game on Marianna, but really it takes the shock value out of what they're trying to do here. They line up on one side, try to switch it back to the other. And you still go backing it up 5 yards now if you don't get this onside kick. You give them even shorter of a field to work with, but everybody's still lined up in that same onside kick.
James, look to the far side of the field. There is one Marianna player. If they don't kick to that side, it's going to be a sky kick. It'll be handled at the 50. Very odd formation. And let's take a look at the swinging gate on the two-point conversion.
Well, speaking of odd formations, this is what you call the water bucket, and defended very nicely by Gulliver Prep. Gulliver Prep practiced against this water bucket formation a lot, you can tell, and what you do, you line up in that, and then if they aren't covering it, you try to run a play. If they are covering it, you just come back and kick the extra point a lot. This time it's covered, and they still try to run it, and all for naught, and it really takes a lot out of a good drive.
Sean Taylor, gain of 2. Jeff Bossy back in the game, making the play.
And on that last, Sean, on this sky kick, it was number 31, Jason Gasso, who fair caught it the way it's supposed to be done. We saw the mistake earlier by Marianna trying to catch the sky kick and fumbling it away to Sean Taylor and the Gulliver Prep Raiders, but a great job by Gasso of fair catching it, giving it to his offense.
Taylor on the toss. Flags on the play. And then we have another flag, and we might have a late hit. There's a penalty against Gulliver way back at the 48, but we could have offsetting penalties. You saw Sean Taylor's stats, which you didn't see is his 7 tackles in this game as well. Whoa, both penalties are being assessed against Marianna. That flag was thrown in the area of holding.
Well, the second penalty definitely coming against Andre Ziegler, as Sean Taylor was well out of bounds, and he put his head down and ran into him about 3 yards out of bounds. The first penalty coming here.
Joey Wild, our head official today from the Vero Beach region.
Blocking below the waist on the defense. 15-yard penalty at the end of the run. First down.
So they take the blocking below the waist penalty. Let's take a look at the left side of your screen.
And it comes in, and there you see it coming in and taking out the legs of the blockers and trying to muck things up there. But you can't go low when you're outside the box. And that's what the call was, and that's the one they take. And so it marches it well down the field. And Gulliver Prep is back in business due to 2 big penalties.
And then the second penalty, since it was a dead ball situation, tack on some more. Here comes Taylor.
Got the stiff arm working, old school style, takes him out and turns that corner. Now he's out of bounds, and here comes Ziegler. And oh, Waterboy getting into the action a little bit.
Coach Guy, he's talking to the officials.
Well, he's complaining about that, what they called a low block.
I think he might be saying his man was pushed. And he went down into the ground, but the replay doesn't justify this. This looks like a low block. Let's take a peek. You cannot go down and take out someone's knees, and it's clearly a penalty. Chris Bolt looks to be the guilty man. So after we get that squared away, 1st and 10, Gulliver on the Marianna 15. Taylor gets a block. Taylor trips up. But he's inside the 10.
And this GP offensive line is really opening up some holes now. That Marianna front 7 having trouble with these big guys. Let's look at this blocking. Watch the guys up front and watch the fullback. There's Pascal in there at fullback, but running everybody by. There's Boston you see get run by, and it's
that 10-yard line must be a little bit higher than the rest of the field. Looks like he tripped right over it. Taylor on 2nd and 4. Great play made. Jeff Mathis bringing down Taylor. Boy, Mathis doing it all for the Bulldogs.
Well, this is the reason he's the leading tackler on this Bulldog defense. There you see from a Mathis eye view. Coming up, making a nice open field tackle on a guy that's definitely got some shake. And tack on another tackle for Jeff Mathis. 9 tackles for loss. Guy's even leading this team in interceptions with 5.
To the ground with Taylor. And Taylor's brought to the ground. Jeff Mathis. I'll tell you what. Chris Nichols also in there as well, but Jeff Mathis, what a game by this young man, the quarterback safety for the Bulldogs. And now it looks like we're going to have a timeout on the field.
And Mathis thought he had the triple whammy here. Boom, he makes the hit. And the ball is on the ground, hits the ground, but Mathis thinks he makes the hit, causes the fumble and the fumble recovery.
But it's clear the ground caused this, I believe.
Oh, without a doubt, the ball is on the ground for a good couple beats, and then pops out, and it's Mathis coming over the top. But a lot of scrap in that young man, Jeff Mathis. There you see 2 of the state's best 2A players going head-to-head, and Jeff Mathis and Sean Taylor. You know, and a lot of times you see a defensive back leading your team in tackles, and it's not one of the best things to see as a head coach or a defensive coordinator, but when you feel like Jeff Mathis has, you step up and you make those plays at the line of scrimmage, that's fine. It's where you get into the secondary and you've got your safeties grabbing on to guys for dear life and hanging on and wrapping guys down that you don't want to see defensive backs leading the team in tackles. But Jeff Mathis does a great job of reading the run, stepping up and making plays like he did on the last 2.
So after the injury timeout, Peter Simon will be out to handle a 28-yard field goal attempt. Kick is up. It's a wobbler, but it's good. It doesn't matter how it goes through as long as it goes through. And Gulliver Prep takes a 31-13 lead over Marianna. And here in the 3rd quarter, Marianna's shown no ability to be able to slow down Gulliver Prep. They've come out and put 10 points on the board to Marianna's 6 in the 2nd half. Coach Howie in his 5th year. Very close to bringing Gulliver a state championship. Done a heck of a job with these guys. 13-1 regular season. And that one loss, it can be a little bit misleading. They played Westminster Academy in their classic. It's a preseason game. It doesn't count against their record. They won the game, but in that game, one of the Westminster Academy players got hooked up with Sean Taylor. The referees caught it, and both players get ejected. In high school football, if you get ejected from a game, you are automatically ejected in the next game. So Coach Howie had to go into his opener with Cardinal Newman without Sean Taylor, and Cardinal Newman won. So that one loss was out his number 1, Sean Taylor.
And Coach Howie, we asked him on a conference call earlier in the week if he had been nervous. He said he'd been nervous, had butterflies since the playoffs started. And for good reason. This is a Gulliver Prep team that has never made it past the 2nd round of the playoffs. They've had trouble with teams in the past, especially Pace coming down from the Panhandle has given some trouble over years past. And then you go through tough teams like Immokalee. Marianna has had an impressive playoff run as well.
Peter Simon puts the ball up in the air, and the ball is on the ground, and Gulliver might have it. They signal that they do. We'll have to wait and see. And now Marianna says they have it. Let's get the official word. Marianna able to come out of that scrum with the ball. Cody Clemens recovers his own fumble.
Well, watch Cody Clemens here. Cody Clemens with some scrap. The ball's going to bounce off his face mask. And big number 62, TJ Hackett, comes barreling in. Takes his eye off the football. Look at big 62. He's got to have his hands on it right there. Hackett.
How does he get the ball back? That's what I want to know. It's there.
He loses it.
It's there. Now there's all these blue shirts, and somehow Cody, all 5'9", 140 pounds, gets back in there and gets the ball back. Dudley making his own hole. Picking up 5. Caviglia, Taylor bringing him down.
Well, a whole slew of Raiders in the backfield as soon as Dudley gets this ball. It's DeLau. He runs through about 4 or 5 tackles, and then it's Sean Taylor. You might get through the first wave, but it's always Sean Taylor. Why is it these two? You always see face mask to face mask, number 1 and number 5. And some more words being spoken. 2 great athletes giving it all and going after each other a little bit today.
Dudley drilled by Sean Taylor.
There it is again, back and forth, and you got to think Sean Taylor's just roaming that field, just trying to hunt down number 5, and every time those 2 helmets come together, there are words spoken.
I get the feeling that Sean Taylor a little upset that Rashard Dudley got 2A Player of the Year.
Maybe so.
He's making his case tonight, that's for sure. Third and 1. Mathis dives forward, very close.
And I don't know if they've got it. It's not a very favorable spot if you're a Bulldog fan. It's going to be very close. They may have to bring the chains out on this one, Sean.
He had to get to the inside of the 46-yard line. And you're right, James. He did not get a very favorable spot, and it could be decision time for Marianna. 8 seconds remain in the quarter. Let's take a peek, and ooh. It looks to be a couple chain links short. 3 to be exact.
Sean, I think you've got to go for it. Here you are right at the beginning of the fourth quarter, and you've got to score 3 times to take the lead. And you've had a great deal of success with the power right up front. It's been Sean Taylor that's been the big nemesis. Unfortunately, if you're a Bulldog, he's playing off the line. Just try to power it.
Mathis, who'd you expect, the keeper, and first down 4. Marianna And on that first down dive by Jeff Mathis, the third quarter has come to an end. The Gulliver Prep Raiders lead Marianna by 18 points. Marianna, they need 3 scores to come back in this one.
The FHSAA Florida Football Finals on Sunshine Network are being brought to you by the Marines, the few, the proud. Call 1-800-MARINES. They've been here all week, inside the stadium, outside.
And 1, 2, 3, 4. I love Marine Corps. I love that Marine Corps Humvee that's sitting in the north end zone grass.
And it has that big stereo blasting all sorts of music. I didn't realize Humvees came with that kind of equipment. Is there blaring music, calling attention, trying to get people excited about the Marines? First and 10 for Marianna. They go to the eye. Rashard Dudley goes nowhere. Jared Delau.
And Delau is exactly what Dudley got here. Is untouched. Jared Delau knifes through the line and makes a big stop in the backfield.
So we have a penalty, personal foul, going against Gulliver.
Good job filling in. You got the right guard.
Dead ball.
Pulling around, and
Personal
Jared
foul.
Delau just steps in that open gap.
15-yard penalty. First down.
So tack on 15. First and 10 for Marianna at the Gulliver 42-yard line.
And just what you didn't need for the Gulliver Prep Raiders, after a big stop by your defensive lineman, to tack on this 15 yards and give the Bulldogs a breath of hope.
Flags come flying. They try to go to the fumble-rooski, and it did not work at all. Marianna pulling out all the stops. That play isn't even legal at the collegiate level.
It's only legal in 2 states, and this ain't one of them, John. Well, number 72.
Trying to get the word on the penalty. We're talking to Gulliver. Talking to Mike Caviglia.
Illegal shift on the offense. Penalties decline. Second down.
So let's see if we can take a peek at this. The illegal shift is declined. That'll bring up 2nd and 10. So now the center, the ball is still under the center, but he cannot touch that ball. That's the other part of it.
He can't touch the ball.
Because if he's touching it, his knee's down, so it would be down. So it's a very difficult play to run. And Gulliver was at nose guard, saw the ball didn't go anywhere. Mathis in trouble, and he's brought to the ground. Tim Tobey coming through, untouched. Throwing Mathis to the ground. That's a huge loss.
Well, it's a defensive tackle on that fumble-rooski. You got to tip your hat, because this is the last thing you expect. But number 74, it was Delau who made the big tackle for the loss a couple plays earlier. Sniffs it out and hangs on for dear life until the ball is pitched away, but still the penalty taken it away. But there he is, number 74. Delau had a pretty good ball game so far today. And 3rd and 19, not the situation you'd like to be in if you're a Bulldog. And Jeff Mathis right now. Got a long way to go, but you need it. You got to find a way.
On 3rd and 19, down goes Mathis. Jared Delau, Gulliver's 3rd sack of the game. Alfredo Pascal also in on the sack. And it's 4th and 24.
Here comes good series. There's Pascal, who's had a huge day, and number 74 gets a half a sack there as well. And Pascal,
oh, he's out. Well, that's a safe side. He's out. Mathis punts. Taylor back to receive, but we have whistles.
Sean,
and Mathis's knee was down when he caught the punt, so that means Gulliver's going to get the ball at the 31-yard line. Whoa, what an untimely break for Marianna.
Mathis has to go down and pick this one up and take a look at it, and has to go down and scoop it. His knee down. Good call by the officials. Look at all those blue bodies there around the ball. Sean, if they had a fake punt in, then would have been the time to run it, and it would have worked because there's one linebacker in a sea of white back behind that ball. But it's Gulliver Prep football with only 9:15 left in this fourth quarter.
Gulliver, they're looking to take command. They take a timeout. They lead it by 18. The Florida Football Finals on Sunshine Network are being brought to you by Tico. Run smart with People's Gas, a Tico energy company. 9:15 remains in the fourth quarter of the 2A title game. Buck Ortega for Gulliver Prep. He's in trouble. He's scrambling. He gets a block, and he goes to throw, and it slips right out of his hands. And Marianna had a chance to recover, but the ball rolls out of bounds at the 48. It's still Gulliver ball.
And this ball doesn't even get a chance to come off of the fingertips of Buck Ortega. Buck Ortega, who's been a magician every time he's been what appears to be sacked for a huge loss. He's found a way to come out. This time he gets open, tries to set up, and the ball just slips right out of his hands. And fortunately for the Raiders, it's right along that sidelines and trickles out of bounds. A big loss, but you still got the football in your possession, at least, for the blue and silver.
Ronnie Furness, the Marianna Bulldog player, down. He was the player that dove for the ball. He was trying to haul it in. Great hustle by Furness trying to get that ball. It was a fumble trying to get it back for the Bulldogs. And now he's laying on the ground. He might have had the wind knocked out of him when he hit the ground.
And in that situation, Furness tried to recover the football as it was going out of bounds. A lot of times in that situation, you need to treat it like a basketball, trying to save it from going out of bounds and tip it back in and keep it active for your guys. Here's a look at it. Watch number 33, Ronnie Furness chasing. And then he'll come across and tries to get a hand on it and probably just lands on the ball. Knocks the wind out of him. Oh, and actually they're holding the arm. Maybe came down a little bit wrong, and they're taking him straight. He's not going to the sidelines. He's going straight to the locker room. So maybe a break, and a bad break for the Marianna Bulldogs and Ronnie Furness.
Well, as we get back to the action, there was a loss of 18 on the play with the fumble by Ortega. It'll bring up 2nd and 28. Let's head down to the field with Charles. Charles, what's up?
Hey guys, I'm here with one of the top Gators of all time, an NFL running back of distinction, and a guy that I had the pleasure of playing against, although never beating this guy, Neil Anderson, one of the best runners in Gator history. Neil, how's it feel to be back at Florida Field?
It's great to be standing out here. You know, I heard about the championship going on, and Marianna was coming in town. Big rivalry of mine in high school, so I had to come out and take a look.
And are you supporting them, even though they were a big rival in high school? It seems like you're sitting on their side.
Support them. It's close enough to home. I grew up in Gainesville, and about 15 minutes away, so it's close enough to home to come out and give them some support.
Now your football days are over. What are you doing these days, Neil? What are you up to?
Actually, I'm on the board of directors and one of the organizers of Community Bank of Marion County. Started that 2 years ago. We opened up one. Now we have 4. And my other main job is I have 2 children. I have a 2-year-old little boy and a 12-week-old little girl. I take care of them.
Well, that sounds like the best job a person can have. Beats working like we do every day. Neil, one last question. The Florida Gators getting ready to play the Miami Hurricanes in the Sugar Bowl, a game that hasn't been played probably since you were in school.
Right. It's going to be a great game. I mean, you got a lot of talent on both sides of the ball, but yeah, I wouldn't want to bet on that game. Miami's got a lot of talent and a very physical football team, so it's going to be a close game.
One last message to the Gators for that game?
Good luck.
All right.
I think a lot of fans will go out and support them, so I think it should be good.
All right, thanks a lot. Neil Anderson, one of the top players ever in Florida history.
And talking about his son, TC. TC's a friend of little Jake Bates. They go to the same school. Those two get together. They went trick-or-treating. TC dressed up as a tiger, and Jake is an alligator. So supporting the SEC schools, I guess you could say, the 2 little guys. 2.5 years old. Got a beautiful family, Neil. Great football player and even better person.
Well, while we were talking to Neil Anderson, you saw on your screen Alfredo Pascal pick up 24 yards. And then there was a penalty which backed him up 5, so now we are in a 3rd and 8 situation.
And there you see, right behind Coach Howie, Pat Dooley of the Gainesville Sun making his way down. Big Gator rider and covering all the hoops around here in football. And Pat Dooley enjoying these state finals. So the whole Gainesville crew's in the house today.
Ortega in trouble, thrown to the ground. Chris Hardrick, another Bulldog who's had a great game. His first sack, his 6th tackle of the game.
Well, when Hardrick decides to turn it on and come make a play, he too can get back there and make things happen. Watch number 32 come into your picture in a nice burst of speed, and that's his first sack of the day, and he's been in on 6 or 7 tackles.
Peter Simon back to punt. Just pooches it in the air, and I think he pooched it a little too far. It'll go into the end zone, and Marianna will come out to their 34-yard kick. But the net was only 14. Well, they're still partying. They got the sunglasses on. They're on the sunny side of the stadium. Their team trails, but they're having a great time over there on the Marianna sideline.
And speaking of Marianna parties, I hear that the home games, when you go to a Marianna High School home football game, you're treated to this big pot of Brunswick stew. It's, say, one of the best stews around, and it's free. The Booster Club hands out bowls and bowls of Brunswick stew. Now, they don't say what exactly is in it. They say there may be some possum floating around in there, but it's worth trying. Maybe worth a trip for us sometime, Sean.
Dudley is thrown out of bounds, and out come the flags, and you had a feeling this was brewing. Taylor and Dudley have been jawing the whole game, and Taylor, a little extracurricular activity, throwing Dudley out of bounds.
This is Sean Taylor's 11th tackle of the day. And Sean, look at him separate from the blocker, the receiver down the field. And a little bit, these two have been going back and forth all day, but you make a nice play and you ruin it by throwing him down at the very end.
Dead ball.
Nice defensive play, but not a very smart play by number 1.
15-yard penalty from the end of the run.
There's 7 minutes remaining.
First down.
It's 31-13, and Gulliver, yes, it's well in hand to a certain extent. There's still a lot of time. Marianna, these guys aren't going to quit. If you keep giving them 15 yards, you give them a touchdown, onside kick, you never know what's going to happen. You have to play smart. First and 10, 31-13 your score. 7 minutes on the dot remain in this title game. And Mathis wants a timeout. Jeff Bossy went in motion, and immediately Mathis wants to talk about this one. Welcome back to the 2A state championship game. Marianna cheerleaders continuing to cheer on their boys. Right now they trail by 18.
These Marianna cheerleaders, they've been here for a long time. Got here way before the football team to stretch and loosen up. They're fired up too.
Marianna only has 164 yards of offense. And Mathis to the 50.
Good job by a guy who on defense has been a force, Chris Hardrick, leading the way, blocking there, staying with his man and driving through Dillard with his head hung a little bit. Guys winded. Under 7 minutes to go. Everybody's put it all out today, and there's a look at number 33, Ronnie Furness, who hurt that arm a couple plays earlier.
Mathis throws. Look into Dudley. First down. The Bulldogs down to the 34. Peter Simon hanging on, making the tackle. 16-yard gain.
And Sean, that was the first play we've seen Dudley take the ball, and it didn't end with a lick by number 1, Taylor. And that's because Taylor was on the sidelines. Taylor comes out on this play. Now he wants a piece of it, but a good completion. Look at Mathis throwing it where only Dudley can get it, right off the stretching arms of Caviglia. So a nice throw, nice completion, and a big first down.
To the ground. Chris Hardrick. And you have to think as we enter under 6 minutes that Gulliver will be more than happy to give them 3-yard dives. Marianna needs to make some plays and in a hurry. They need 3 scores to get back in this one.
Ralph Ortega, the defensive coordinator, doing a great job with the Gulliver Prep Raiders to hold so far just 13 points out of these Bulldogs.
Mathis gets it out to Hardrick, and Hardrick's brought to the ground. Number 57, Alex Gonzalez. What does this guy not do? He makes all these tackles in the backfield. Here he is in coverage making a play.
Sean, at 6'2", 215 pounds, I've been very impressed with number 57. He's got to be one of the top 5 linebackers in this state. He turns it on. He decides to go make a play. And the burst that comes out of this guy, very, very impressed with number 57. He's a hard-nosed linebacker for these guys, and they've got a bunch of them. They've got 3 guys who Coach Howley was telling us will play at the next level.
I love that black chin strap, too. It makes him even look meaner inside. Dudley, the ball carrier, picking up a couple. That'll bring up 4th and 1 as he'll be short of a first down.
And if it's not Gonzalez, it's Caviglia. Another senior linebacker, 57, 55, whatever way you want it, they're going to make some plays there throughout the middle. And don't forget Alfredo Pascal.
150 total yards in the game for Dudley and a touchdown. Handoff to Hardrick, trying to pick up that first down, and it's going to be close, but it looks to have it. First down.
Well, again, another dive play, and the clock will stop while they reset the chains with 4:02 left in the game. Taylor winded, everybody bent over, but what you've got to do with Marianna, you're in the huddle. I mean, Coach, they're taking their sweet time. Coach Guy needs to get his troops to the line, and Mathis needs to run a play, and it preferably needs to be a passing play because you need to get in that end zone and fast under 4 minutes.
Gulliver's going after, Marianna's going at the drive like they have another quarter to play. Sean Taylor nails Rashard Dudley as he tried to haul in the pass. Boy, Sean Taylor playing this game like he has a chip on his shoulder.
Well, they try to take a play out of the playbook of the Gulliver Prep Raiders here. A little throwback back across the field to Dudley. And watch Sean Taylor come in at the end. Boom! Tries to take his head off, makes him pay. There's another look at it.
And there's Charles Davis. He got a first-hand view of that one. Probably glad he was on the sideline. The throwback. Great play made, trying to get it back to Mathis. George Larari laying the lumber. And while he laid the lumber, he actually seemingly got the worst of the hit as Mathis jumped right back up.
And on back-to-back plays, you see the two studs. This one being a halfback pass from Dudley. But when you're right-handed, whether you're a running back or a quarterback, you've got to stop and throw it back across your body, and you got to put some air underneath it. Not the strongest throw, the easiest throw for a quarterback. And so you got to hang it up there a little bit. And things like that will happen. Big collisions as these receivers try to wait on the ball and go up for it and giving those defensive backs enough time to react and come up with the big stick. And good for George Larari.
Larari jogging off the field, but in that hit with Mathis, he was giving up 4 inches and 50 pounds. Well, he got the big-time stick. You can see why maybe Larari got a little winded after the stick. 3:31 remains on the clock, 3rd and 10. The throw completes to Dudley. Dudley puts on a move, another move, and he's down inside the 10. 15-yard pickup.
And again, here's the big play. You see Dudley coming across the field. He's been a force, whether he's running the football or catching the football today. But we look down on the field now after this big first down pickup, and the Marianna Bulldogs taking their time coming to the line with the clock ticking. You've got to have some intensity and desperation.
First and goal from the 10. Dudley. Maybe half a yard in the game, 134 yards rushing for Dudley, 31 receiving and a touchdown. And Marianna clearly not in a hurry with 2:39 remaining.
And Sean, this is a state championship you're playing for, and look, the clock is ticking right now. No sort of a 2-minute offense. And they're just walking to the line. There's 2:28 left in this football game, and you've got to score 3 times, and you're handing the ball off on die.
Going to the air. He gets it off. Underhand to Dudley, but Dudley's going to lose a couple. And the ball's on the ground, but I believe he was down. Loses Mike Caviglia. Yeesh, everywhere. 13 tackles for Caviglia in this game.
Loses a couple yards, almost loses the football at the very end. But again, this ball was not an incomplete pass. Really disappointing that you get this far into the season and you're that close, and you're killing about 15, 20 seconds each time you go to the huddle and come back. No 2-minute offense. And
Mathis, he's in trouble, and he's going to be sacked. Marcus Jones.
Look at Coach Greg Guy, who on a conference call earlier this week, when one of the funnier comments, he said, "We feel like we can play with anybody in the country. Just let me guess the country." He said, "I want Botswana."
The line of the weekend. Loss of 13, and that'll bring up 4th and 27. And Marianna will use their final timeout. 1:06 on the clock, and the inevitable. And you know, James, we look at those Marianna helmets, and they look very similar to the Washington Huskies helmets. The gold, the purple.
Talked about that Sugar Bowl earlier, the Miami Hurricanes and the Florida Gators in there, but Washington Huskies, a little bit of a gripe when all that BCS talk was going on. The West Coast guys, they look like they got a bit snubbed after they beat up on Miami earlier in the season. There'll be some interesting bowl games nonetheless. going to be a fun postseason. And there's a big smile.
Yeah, we got
Coach
a smile,
Howie.
Coach
We
Howie.
finally got it. A different story on the other side of the field. But those Gulliver Prep Raiders will be 2A state champions. A minute 6 on the clock left from now, and they can smile all the way back to the bottom. And that's the bottom of the state, not the bottom of the rankings down in Miami.
Mathis trying to make something happen. Mathis. Touchdown. All heart. Jeff Mathis. How about Jeff Mathis refusing to quit? And he gets a 27-yard touchdown run to make the score 31-19.
And watch, even on the offensive line, guys thinking the play was done, he runs by everybody else. He says, get out of my way, not only to the defenders, but his own offensive line, and the determination to finally dive into the end zone. And there you've got Ortega, and you've got Taylor, Sean Taylor.
They're going for two. The little sneak, the throw, Rashard Dudley. It's good. Pulling out all the stops. 31-21 with 51 seconds remaining. And now you have to wonder why they didn't try to hurry up earlier. They're only down by 10, an onside kick. You score a TD and then another onside kick. I mean, it's remote, but it makes it even more difficult with only 51 seconds left. But there's a couple minutes left down by 10. I mean, we saw in the first half, James, Gulliver scored 14 points in under 40 seconds.
And as Sean Taylor banged up a little bit, but a couple minutes is all you need, and a couple minutes is exactly what they wasted. And a nice little two-point conversion. Earlier they went for it. It didn't look very pretty with the water bucket. There's Taylor jumping and going for his leg, and actually kind of lands on his teammate a little bit. But Sean, think of the time that's wasted as these guys just really piddled around in a state championship game at the 10-yard line. You got to wonder, and especially if this onside kick is recovered, but you get your 2 points back, which is very important.
That'll make it more painful if they get this onside kickback. Then you're really going to wonder. And the way that these two teams fumbled the ball around in the first half, getting a turnover is not out of the question. 51 ticks on the clock. Marianna trails by 10. Chris Nichols. Will be kicking the ball for the Bulldogs.
Showing how windy it is in the swamp right now. The flag's still whipping around and the ball popping off the tee.
The onside kick is up, and it's going to be handled by the hands team. Peter Simon. You're in good hands with Peter Simon, and that's what they're playing for. And Gulliver Prep, 51 seconds away from taking that trophy back to Miami. And when you think of Dade County in the state championships, you're thinking Southridge, you're thinking Miami Northwestern, you're thinking Miami-Jackson, and as it turns out, the Dade County team this year that's going to be walking away with the trophy is Miami Gulliver Prep. Buck Ortega takes a knee. Marianna has no timeouts. They cannot stop the clock.
As we said before, Buck Ortega will stay right at home and play his college football for the University of Miami Hurricanes. And
here they come. They're looking for Coach Howie.
Speaking of Hurricanes, watch out, Coach.
He doesn't see it coming.
Hey, go! Go! Go!
Oh, they're taking a lot of time.
Oh, they went to one of the assistant coaches. knee. And now they get Coach Howie.
Wow, Coach Sprayer should have let him borrow his rain jacket he had in the SEC championship game.
The Gulliver Prep Raiders have concluded a 14-1 season with a 31-21 victory over the Marianna Bulldogs. And let's go down to Charles with a soaking wet Coach Howie.
Coach, state champs. You've been here a few times before, 1-1 in the playoffs the last 3 years. This time all the way through.
Yeah, it's fantastic. I can't believe state champs. It's a dream come true for me.
When did you take a look at this ball club and think to yourself, we got a pretty good chance to end up in the swamp?
Actually, last year we had most of these guys coming back, so we knew that would be pretty good. I didn't know that we'd get this far, but this is great.
All the time, all the effort, all the hard work, pretty well worth it now, isn't it?
It's definitely worth it. And you can ask the kids. It's definitely worth it. All the extra work that they put in, they deserve this.
All right, Coach, congratulations. Go enjoy it.
Great.
Back up to you, Sean. Coach Howie, state champ.
Coach Howie, he's the only man to get Gulliver into the playoffs. He had a 3-3 record in the playoffs. This year, 5-0 and a championship. It is a final. Gulliver Prep has secured their first state championship in school history with a 31-21 win over the Marianna Bulldogs. Buck Ortega saluting the crowd, the ones that made the trip up to Gainesville. These are the ones that watched them win thriller after thriller in the playoffs, including a state semifinal win against the Immokalee when it looked as if they wouldn't even get here, when all it would take is an Immokalee extra point in the final seconds to send Immokalee to this 2A state championship game. But the football gods were on their side as it clanged off the upright. They go to double overtime. Coach Howie, he calls for the 2-point conversion. He gets it. If they miss, they don't come here. Taylor gets it. And they are in the state championship game. And then they conclude the championship with a 31-21 win over Marianna. Sean Taylor, what didn't he do in this game? He wants the ball. He wants a championship. And he gets both. Jeff Mathis, the heart and soul of the Marianna Bulldogs in the final seconds. A 27-yard touchdown run, but it wasn't enough. Gulliver Prep and Coach Steve Howie are your 2000 Class 2A state champions. For Charles Davis and James Bates, I'm Sean Alveshire. Good day, everyone.